Bung. Bung. We're back. I like this hook. You got a book you want to tell us about?
What do you got going on the screen?
Well, let's talk. There's no other place to do it.
You starting it?
Only on Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George, the Dreamer, Medina.
I'm your idol, your highest title, numero uno. I am a Puerto Rican and I'll speak it so that you know. That actually goes good with that.
You see, yeah, it does. You seen on I don't know if you've seen on Instagram Live. There's DJ D Nice.
My name is really.
It's him.
Is it?
My name is D Nice. D Nice,
my
yeah,
name
but
is
he's
D-Nice,
a DJ and he's been doing these
taking
IG
out your
live
suckers because you
parties.
don't know what I'm doing. Yes, I know that.
Yes. So he's been doing these IG lives like a big time DJ now. And he's got like tons of people just following, listening to his. It's funny. I'm like, is that D Nice? Yep, it's D Nice.
That's dopest with the
DJ
mostest.
D-Nice. Yeah, man. So what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing.
You're doing.
Yes.
Right.
Been busy.
Yeah, another episode. Yeah, May 22nd. This is the May 22nd episode.
Is it?
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, because we got Nino. Then we have.
And Nino, Rob.
This.
Then you, and then this, and then the last episode will be the Nerds of the Round, which we'll be recording soon. Tomorrow.
We hope so. Miss Mary Matt, or dressed in black. So who do we have on today?
So today we have a gentleman by the name of Mike Lopesz. He is, I met him actually through Michael Gracia, who, thank goodness, he's doing well. So as of when we're recording the show today, April 28th,
right.
Michael is doing well. He did have some health issues, but he's good. And so I met Mike through him because they do IncrediChat or IncrediCon, IncrediChat together.
Right.
And yeah, so he'll be on the show. He obviously is involved with IncrediCon, and I definitely want to talk to him a little bit about. I know you had an episode of Catch the Craze where you spoke about online conventions,
virtual
conventions.
Yes.
So
is he hosting one?
Well, I want to talk to him about it because his con, I think, is going to be something that they're looking into doing that. So I want to talk to him about that. So yeah, we'll definitely ask him questions about to see how that works. See what happens in the virtual con.
Yeah, because the biggest concern that I have is not mainstream people, not the celebrity guests or the superstar artists and writers that are out there that people are looking for. It's all the little guys that you won't normally see unless you actually were at a venue and you walk through Artist Alley and small press, right?
Right.
So what is the share of virtual space do the little guys get? Does it rely on their budget?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do they have to pay more to get more exposure to be selected through this virtual space? I don't know how that works. I know Brian Kong attended one of these virtual cons because I saw him. He was going to be at one of these. So I want to ask him how he, and again, he's a highly sought after artist. So he might not have had to compete much because he's big in the baseball card and trading card and sketch card world. But I'd like to get his take on it. We need to talk about getting him on the show. Yeah. I'd love to get his take on it to understand.
Oh, yeah, Brian. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
We definitely have to do. Yeah, Brian, we got to get him on the show.
Yeah, you need to understand whether it's a benefit or a hindrance to the small press community.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then he also has a comic book called Life's a Beach. So
son of a.
We'll talk to him about that. But yes, also, and we also have Get Your Meds.
Get Your Meds
this week.
Get Your
That's
Meds.
right. Get Your Meds this week. It's going to be about distro, Distro. We'll talk about distribution.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I would have changed that. But the last topic was distribution. And let's get
distro.
Get rid of that. Boom. And now I have to get this. You're seeing me live, edit live on the air.
Nice.
That's how I do. That's how I do. All right, so
Man, on the fly, baby.
Yes. Distribution woes in the face of COVID-19.
Yeah, man, things have changed a lot.
Yes.
Obviously, with this COVID-19 virus. So, and the industry has had to adapt, just like we have had to adapt.
Yes.
And so yeah, we'll be talking about that. So we can get to look at that light.
That light was crazy.
We can get to whenever you're ready, Sam. We can talk about whatever you want right now. What do you want to talk about?
I'm ready. Let the others call me Eddie, but for you, it's special ed because I said so. Spaghetti.
Wow.
So let's get it.
On that note,
let's get into it. What are we gonna do?
Meds, dude.
Yes, get your meds.
All right.
So, big things
distro.
happen. You've seen the episode of the Craze Nintendo last when I was talking about the impact of Diamond shutting down and Alterna going out and taking the bullet and leading the charge in the game and saying, hey, we're not going to be victims to this. We're going to do direct market shipping. And then recently, the president or CEO of Boom Studios just did a 10-minute monologue or video promo promoting the future of comic books and trying to provide some sort of encouragement to fans and the comic shop owners, saying, hey, don't look at this as the end. Look at it as a new beginning, because you all get to start fresh from day one. You all get to reopen from day one, and the amount of new product that'll be flooding into your stores from day one. So it's almost like he was putting a challenge to the fans and the consumers of comic books and collectibles, and saying, hey, look, we're going to need you when we reopen, because as publishers, we're going to flood these stores with new content, and we're going to need you to support them. And for you, and for all of you shop owners, don't give in, because this could be a great way for you to reinvent yourself, and a great way to reinvent how we handle this medium in the comic books. I thought it was a great promo. The words of encouragement, support. He provided a silver lining in this dark cloud moment right now for the comic community. So I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, I was reading an article on the Hollywood Reporter, and they were saying that Diamond had, because remember, Diamond just shut it down. They were like, all right, we're not sending anything out, and that caused a big, stir. Am I coming in fuzzy on your end?
No.
Okay, because you're looking a little fuzzy on my end, but it doesn't matter. I'm not recording. Anyway.
Is it that I gotta shave?
So
I need more light?
They sent the list. So what happened?
I need more light?
Nah, you're good. Your money. Oh, look at the people's eyebrow. So anyway, yeah. So the Hollywood Reporter had this article, right? Diamond sent a letter to stores on April 17th saying that they plan to start distribution again mid to end of May. So by the time this episode airs, we'll have to see if they were true to that word, right, where they said that they were going to start sending books out to the distributors, to the stores. They also said, the Hollywood Reporter also said that DC was going to shop to stores, citing that they were going to do almost like a direct distribution to the shops, DC. Right. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see by the time, again, this airs, we'll see if that's happened. But what I found interesting, man, is that according to the article, right, in this publication called The Guardian, DC did send an email to shops saying that it will start distribution through 3 new companies. And Bleeding Cool said 2 of the 3 companies was 2 or 3. One of them was UCS Comics Distribution, and the other was Lunar Distribution. What I found interesting about those distribution companies is that UCS apparently is linked to Midtown Comics.
Oh.
So I was like, wait, what?
Well,
so, yeah.
Midtown Comics, between Midtown and Mile High, which one's big? Is it Mile High or is it Midtown that's the biggest fish in the game?
Yeah. I mean, they're both pretty large.
Huge. They're both huge.
So for them to say that UCS, which is linked to Midtown Comics, to see that distribution channel open up, that's big for a comic book store like Midtown Comics, because they have they have the inside scoop on DC Comics. I don't know how much of that is going to come to fruition. Again, we're recording this episode on April 28th. We'll have to see by the time this airs on the 22nd where we are with that and how that occurred. But yeah, that was interesting. That Midtown Comics would be one of the names mentioned in distribution.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. You got to think about it. If I am one of the biggest fish of the games, right? There's probably a handful of really big, and I know Mile High sticks out to me, and so does Midtown. And so when you have that big of a piece of the pie, you want to make sure that you're protected, and you want to make sure that the big boys are protecting you, because you're consuming a lot of that stuff. You're paying, you're buying a lot of that product. So it's in their best interest to take care of you and make sure you get the stuff that you need, and you get the premium stuff and the variant editions and the special editions and the sketchbook covers and all those things is going to help you drive incremental sales. So that doesn't surprise me at all because of the name and who they are.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting, right? Because like you said, Alterna Comics decides, all right, you know what? With Diamond out of the picture, we're going to go directly to the stores.
Right.
DC saying, okay, without Diamond in the picture, we're going to go directly to stores. So it's almost like, Diamond, did you do the right thing by kind of stepping away and letting these other guys kind of find their way into is that going to hurt them at all? I don't know. They're so big, maybe not. I think, maybe it won't hurt them at all.
No, I think what this did was, for example, I think, what was it? French Montana just produced his music video from his compound, whatever it is, right? And I think it's forcing people to be creative. It's forcing people to find different ways of doing business today. And is making people realize, hey, this dependency really hurt me.
Right.
I need to have more channels. I need to have more tentacles spread out, because if I'm solely reliant on this and I can't pay my bills because it's gone, why am I doing this? I need to look at other. So I think Alterna started that whole, let's look at things differently. And so I think everybody is now back at the drawing board saying, how do we protect ourselves so this doesn't happen again?
Yeah,
right? Because this can go on forever, and we can't be victim to it. So what do we do differently?
It's almost because like the numbers are crazy, dude. Comicron, which is a resource for comics research based on reports from Diamond, says that the sales of comics, graphic novels, and collectibles, distributed by Diamond, was 529.7 million in 2019. Wow. That's how much money they make off of the distribution of comics, graphic novels, and collectibles. 529 million. So could you imagine if one company holds that much revenue? Like how much the other companies don't have of that? So if they're out of the picture, if they could find a way to get all of that, the numbers are freaking crazy. 529 million, almost $500 million worth of just things that they are, woo, it's crazy.
Yeah, think about it. 1 minute,
it's insane.
1 minute, you're everything's going well. Things are, and it was one of those things that I did on the Craze of 10 or less, right? So it's what's your backup plan, right? Was one of them. Holy crap, the world stopped. You plan on releasing your book this year. You plan on attending this many venues this year. You plan on, doing book signings this year. There are no book signings. There are no venues. Now what? And there are no fans out there, so you have to work harder online to get fans. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think one of the newest people that I connected with on social media, he says, "I love your hustle." Well, you gotta hustle. It's time to hustle because you can't be dependent. There's no distribution unless you're doing direct marketing. I like what you did, where there was a call to action with a comic shop owner saying, "I need content, I need product," and he's like, "Well, it's on its way. I'm sending you my stuff." You know what I mean? And you took it and you jumped on it and you took advantage of an opportunity. How many of us are keeping our eye on the prize and watching what's happening in real time to be able to react in those moments? I mean, I swear to you, I was like, man, I wish the stuff was ready. that I'm working on the back end because it's a great time for independents to really
It
maximize
is.
because
It
you're
is,
no
dude.
longer you're not in the shadows right now. So now you can get to the forefront and shine a little bit, before
Right.
everything goes back to normal.
Because they're looking for content. It's almost like we need things to fill the shelves that are empty right now,
Yeah,
and you know what I mean.
yeah, and we are in the tri-state area of the New York, New Jersey market, right? So when you think about this, we don't know when New York is going to open. We don't know, and Midtown Comics is in New York, so they're relying on their web presence, right? .com
Right.
orders, right? So, New York, New Jersey's going to piggyback off of New York. We're so close, right? We're neighbors. So, and Philly's going to piggyback off of New Jersey. So, we're waiting on Cuomo's timeline for New York to determine the timeline for Jersey to determine. So, with all those things shut down, what do you do? What do you do,
Right.
right? So, this is it weighs heavily on every industry. So I know the movie industry is looking at things differently. The music industry is looking at things differently. This is spawning a lot of entrepreneurs. What's crazy right now is this is like, when you had, let's think of a gardener. You were planting seeds, and nothing was happening for a while, whatever. Then all of a sudden, every seed is sprouting and the ground is opening
Right.
up. That's what's happening now. So now you're seeing everybody creating podcasts. Now everybody and their mothers wants to do a podcast. Everybody is putting their music out on the web. Everybody's putting their independent films out on the web. They're trying to put content out there with the hopes of getting noticed, right?
Right.
So what are you doing now? How do you fight in this arena that just went from 100 to 100,000 overnight?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you right now, I every day I laugh. I see all these cats doing podcasts now. I'm like, holy crap! Look at this. This is
Yeah. No,
crazy.
there's a lot, dude.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
like,
lot.
look at this, right? So it's like, all right. So that means guys like us have to continue to reinvent. We got, we're in the race. We can't let anybody catch up to us, so we have to be reinvent as everyone that's trying to feel their way through it. Because I can tell you right now how many people contacted me asking me, "Hey, what equipment do you use? Oh, how did you do that transition? Oh, what are you doing for this for your editing?" Right? I'm like, all right, so they're at that stage that I was a year ago doing research. All right, so we got a year, we got to jump on them. So that's how you got to think. I got a year jump, so I got to maximize. What am I not doing? What do I need to do? Same thing for you cats out there. Without the distribution, how are you getting your stuff out there?
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like even the other day, I was doing like I was just on eBay. So I went on eBay and I searched for the Adventures of Wonder Dog, and somebody had actually was selling it on eBay. So I bought it. I was like, let me see where it's coming
Right.
from. And I don't know, and it's weird because I don't know who the seller is, but it was like it almost looked like it was what was the name of the you're going through them. You were planning on going through them. What's the name of the distributor?
Oh,
Uh, Ingram.
Ingram, yes, Ingram Sparks.
It looked like it was an Ingram. It looked like it came from Ingram. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what?
What?
So apparently there are copies on eBay of the book. So they are. I mean, it's just
So if
once your
they're
stuff is out
selling
there,
it,
it's out there.
are you getting a royalty for your royalties from that?
I sure hope so.
That's one thing you need to follow
So
up on. That's interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like once you have your stuff out there, you have to see. And I like to do that sometimes. Like just Google it and
Yeah,
see where I can buy it. Like
yeah,
Amazon, eBay. Obviously, Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. I know that they can get it from there because that's where we have them set up. But when I went on eBay and I found it on eBay, and they had like 3 books, and I thought that because the comic book company Space Cadets, big shout out to Space Cadets in Texas, Space Cadets Collectibles, they have they have an eBay store online where they sell books to the publisher. So it was on there,
ah,
but when I did the eBay, I saw 2 sellers, and I'm like, wait, what? I know I'm not selling it on eBay.
that's no bueno.
So
Yeah,
it was interesting. I was like, wait, what's going on? So yeah, I mean, I mean, in a way, it's nice that they actually have the product
Right.
to sell it, but like you said, am I getting a piece of that? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, distribution and now that Diamond is kind of sleeping, it's a sleeping giant because when he wakes up,
It's over.
It's over. I mean, they're just gonna take everything back and be like, all right, we're back to normal. We're gonna ship these, you know what I mean? Because the big companies already know them. They have their, you know.
Yeah. It's not that Diamond's not gonna hurt from this, because they have the big two.
Yeah.
But there will be a learning for them and everyone else, and I think there'll be some adjustments, and I think the retailers are going to adjust, and the retailers are going to encourage more direct marketing and work with the smaller publishers to make sure they're getting contact, and it is a great time to localize. So like, you know, if you are in a specific county or a specific city, and
Right.
you have product that you've produced yourself, it is your best interest to work with your local shop owners and your community and get your stuff in their hands. See if you ever walk it in yourself. We did that back in the days. We walked it in ourselves, and they put it on the shelves, and boom, you know, and they paid you when it, you know, and this is your time. This is the time for the small guys. If there was any other time to step up and play ball, get on the court.
Right.
It's time to play ball. They're playing basketball. They're playing basket. Anyway, so but yeah, get on the court. Get on the court. You know, show your skills.
For sure. Listen, there are plenty of groups on Facebook. Some of these guys are straight up giving, you know, they're working almost like the middleman, where they're saying, okay, here is the email to comic book shops.
Yep.
Contact them. See if they want to pick up your book. You know, and that's the way it's going. But yeah, dude, our guest just sent me a message here. Can't find us on House Party.
He put my email in.
What's the email you have?
Oh
on
wait,
there?
I gotta unlock it because I think I have it locked. I think I locked us. Oh wait, hold on. That's probably why he can't find it. Oh wait, we're unlocked. Yeah, so he doesn't have the email address.
No, phone number, but I don't want to give your phone number.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that either. So I'm gonna text it to you. Can you? Are you gonna be able to get it?
I'm on my phone. You're gonna see me purple for 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's gonna go purple. I'll go to commercial.
There you go.
Hold on. All right. Well, you go to that. I'm gonna go to a commercial. Did you get it? I'll wait till you go purple, and then I'll put up a commercial.
I'm going. Peace.
All right, welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. That's 10 minutes or under. This is not going according to plan. What the heck is going on? Oh, hell no. All right, we're back with our guest, Mike Lopesz.
Here we are.
Co-founder of IncrediCon and Fabulous, everything fabulous. And George Medina is on the line audio-wise because we're having technical difficulties with all of this technology. So
we're switching it up. I'm on the line, and you guys get to see Mike on the screen in all his glory. How you doing, Mike?
Good. Here I am coming from the IncrediKids studio in there. And you know what? Grazi and I have joked about this, and I will use this because it's relevant. On our podcast, on our chat, and I know, George, you're on there with us. You know, I don't know if you were part of the conversation, but on my tag says the IncrediKing. I didn't realize how ridiculous that is now because of Tiger King now. So I'm like, oh, my God. So
yes, Tiger King.
At first, Grazia didn't want me to label myself IncrediKing, but he may give me that now because I might be like Joe Exotic. Who knows?
Yes.
That is funny. So how you doing, Mike? How you been as far as have you been busy in this quarantine time? How are you doing? Are you well? Are you healthy? What's going on with you?
No, I mean, everything's fine here. I've been doing my regular job as a teacher during the day. Grazi and I have been doing our Incredit chats. At least, so we were doing about 2 a week where you were a guest on, and then Grazi fell. Grazi is doing fine right now, so he'll be back on the Incredit chat with us in the next few sessions. So it took me about a week to get back in it because he was like our tech guy, just like you guys are. You guys handle the tech thing. I am, but I joke around like the Joe Barbera of IncrediCon. I go out there and I make the deals for everything. But so Grazia takes care of like that technical aspect. So without him, I was like, the Incredit chat, what's gonna happen? But I figured out. He coached me a little bit through it, so I got the StreamYard up and running, and we did a couple of Incredit chats along that. But our Incredit chats are fully back in the next few weeks. But yes, I've been doing that. I've been teaching and binge watching some shows and getting ready to jump back into the comic book I created with a buddy of mine a couple of years ago to do a return for that as well.
Nice.
I think we're all doing pretty much the same thing, right? We're doing a lot of binge watching. We're doing a lot of catching up on work and things of that nature. So tell me a little bit about this comic book that you're talking about with your buddy.
All right, cool. So the book that I have here, it's available on Indie Planet. It's called Life's a Beach, right? And it's done. I'm sorry about the glare there, but this is done by my buddy Gary Eckerson and I. Gary did the artwork, for the first 2 issues, definitely in the first. There's 2 issues up on Indie Planet right now. The first issue is definitely our first go around at it, and then the second one he kind of just went nuts with, and he's definitely been improving his artwork style as we go with it. But really what it is, Gary and I worked together at a music store many years ago, and we go goof around about shows like Happy Days and the Beach Party movies with Frankie and Annette, and then certainly like Scooby-Doo, Archie comics, all this stuff. And we kind of decided like, let's do a comic book based off of our love of this, and that's how Life's a Beach was born. So like I said, there's 2 issues that are out there right now, which we've done very sporadically over the last like 4 years. But just time. I mean, I have a son, he has 2 children, and then our careers and stuff outside of the comics realm. And my focus has really became running IncrediCon over here. But with this whole quarantine, actually kind of inspired by some of the sitting down here again, we have all this free time on my hands. So I just finished reading the most recent volume 3 of Die Kitty Die by Dan Parent and Fernando Ruiz. I'm big fans of theirs. I just finished reading the 3rd book of that, and I just supported their Kickstarter, which just ended this week. And I don't know if you can still throw money at them, but I'm certainly, if you can, go and support them. So I just read that, and then of course our mutual buddy Ray Felix and his Trumpland book. We love Ray. Ray just did.
It's funny. We've had both of those gentlemen on the show. Actually, we had Ray and we had Fernando on the show. Yeah, that's amazing how it all comes full circle.
Absolutely. So I was reading I was reading Kitty, I was reading Trumpland, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to get back into the comic thing because obviously, I'm sure we'll probably talk about this more. Conventions are probably on hold for the near future. So I was like, what can I do again? Because I mean, listen, at the end of the day, outside of our binge watching, outside of our video games and whatever it is that we're doing, like it was a nice day today, so I got to do some yard work. But if you are a creative person, this is why I even tell my students, if you are creative, there is no excuse after this to not be creative because you have all the time in the world to do it. 100%.
What do you teach, Mike?
Right now I'm doing middle school social studies, 5th, 7th, and 8th graders, and that's in the Bronx. So, and what's been really cool is being in the convention world. What I do once a week for them is I bring in some of our friends, and we do like an online presentation workshop class. Like I had Grazia came on and did a drawing class with them. I don't know do you guys know Diane Alito? She's an artist. This is some of her work from My Little Pony.
Oh, nice.
No. I mean, I've heard of her, but I've never met her. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And great artist. She did stuff for Sesame Street, but she did for IDW My Little Pony, and for Dark Horse she did Halloween Legion. Great books, and she does a lot of other stuff too. Tarzan she did for Dark Horse, yeah. So she came on and did it. Our buddy Noel McNeil from Bear in the Big Blue House, he came and did it. So again, it's inspiring young, kind of like the whole mission of what we do with IncrediCon and IncrediKids, inspiring young people to be creative. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm inspiring all these young people to be creative. I need to be creative too. So,
Yeah.
kind of like, so I'm like, there's no excuse. I need to just do it now. So, and that's the advice I give to anybody that's even listening is like, you know what, go out there and create now. You know, don't hold back.
Absolutely. So tell me about the evolution of I guess IncrediCon. How did that concept come about with you and Michael?
Well, so, and I know Grazia talked a bit about it when he was on your show as well. But no, I mean, I guess both him and I have different roads to where we are with IncrediCon now. So what happened was probably about a good 8-9 years ago, in the Bronx, there's this guy named Alex Simmons.
Yep.
You guys probably know Alex as well.
Kids Comic Con.
Kids Comic Con. So he runs the Kids Comic Con. So I went to New York Comic Con again, like probably 9-10 years ago, and I went to an Archie panel because I'm an Archie fan. And Alex was moderating it. And I was like, wow, this guy would be cool to talk to my kids. At the time, by the way, I was working with incarcerated kids in city schools. Like the kids that you see on the news, they go someplace when they get in trouble, unfortunately. And so they have school. So I was like, this guy would be good. So I pretty much stalked him on Facebook for a year, we joke about. But I just found out like where he'd be, and because you become a fan of somebody and you follow their feeds on Facebook. And so the following New York Comic Con, the following year, he did something at a library over in Astoria. Was it Astoria? I think it was Astoria. He did like a pre New York Comic Con. He was there. Raina Telemanger was there. A couple of other folks were there as well. And I said, you know what? I was living in Regal Park at the time. I said, it's a quick subway ride, and it was like on a Saturday or Sunday. So I said, let me go up there. It shouldn't be busy because it's not New York Comic Con. Let me chat with this guy. Right. And we chatted. We found out we had some mutual friends, including, and that's where I got to meet the great Ray Felix. But I volunteered with him for the first Kids Comic Con. I mean, I tell Alex all the time he was like my Yoda. He got me into. I was always into using comics and stuff with kids, and figuring out bring my passion into the classroom. And so I worked with Alex on a Kids Comic Con for a few years. We got to know some of the Muppet people because for those of you who are in New York or not in New York, when society comes back to normal again, go to the Museum of the Moving Image and see the Jim Henson exhibit, because prior to the exhibit that's there now, they had like a temporary exhibit that was there. And every weekend, and again, living where I lived, was like a 20-minute train ride to Astoria. Like every weekend they were doing Museum of the Moving Image presentations with people from the world of the Muppets and Sesame Street. So I went there. I got to know some of those people. They got tied into it. And Leslie Carrera Rudolph, who was our friend who played Abby Cadabby on Sesame Street, Bonnie Erickson, who was puppet builder. She built Miss Piggy and Swedish Chef and Statler and Waldorf with Jim Henson back for the Muppet Show. She came and talked to my kids, and we got to know a couple of other people. So New York Comic Con, back when they used to have a traditional education day, that Thursday, where it was like literally like if you were not a librarian or a teacher, you cannot be there until like 3 o'clock. Right. That's gone now. They've pushed everybody to New York Public Library. But I said, you know what? And this was after Alex, Bonnie, and Leslie had come to my school. Let's propose a panel to New York Comic Con and see if they bite. So we did, and they were totally cool with it. So the first year, it was myself, Alex, Leslie, Bonnie. Just being a fan of his online, I invited Noel McNeil. I said, Noel, you want to come and sit? He had put out his book, 10-Minute Puppets. I said, you want to come and sit on the panel? We've never met before, but Bonnie and Leslie are going to be there. You probably know them. He came, and him and I became fast friends. And then Ray Felix sat in on there with us. So we talked about using the arts to educate kids, which is a great panel. We filled, if you've been to New York Comic Con, they have the big rooms, and then they have like those little conference rooms on the opposite side. And so we were in there. We filled it up. So then the following year, we came back and did it again. We had that same group. We had Lewis Henry Mitchell, who's one of the main artists for Sesame Street. We added Diana Lito. We added Paul Castiglia from Archie Comics, and we had this huge panel. And we were in one of the larger size rooms, which again we filled. And then we did it a third year, and then New York Comic Con kind of started doing different things with education. So that was that. But I traveled around promoting Kids Comic Con with Alex, and then, I decided, let me start doing it on my own angle and twist too, which then because I had met Grazia doing this, and him and he was doing his Getting Tuned stuff, which he still does now, and we kind of said, you know what, let's do our own thing. So we were traveling around doing IncrediKids, because there's a lot of people that do the kids things too. Honestly, it's just like with everything, there's room for everybody in this world. Right. So we started doing IncrediKids, and it was funny. Like about 2 years ago now, I said to Grazi, I'm like, we should do a con. He's like, I don't know if we should do a con. I was like, why the heck not? And literally, in 2-3 months, I pulled together our first IncrediCon, and it was a great success. And I know he was talking about our second IncrediCon, but we had Joe Sinnott there. I mean, we had Ray there. We had Alex Simmons was there. Jeff Schultz was there. I'm just trying to think of a lot of local artists from the Hudson Valley had come for that. And so we did 2 of these and we do them at the mall, which is really cool because it's an affordable con, and again, we'll talk about some cool ideas for con goers. It's an affordable con because you don't have to pay a door admission. And vendors and artists are generally happy because you have a steady flow of customers throughout the day because you're literally in the middle of the mall, and it's just a cool community event, and it's good for the mall too because they want to bring people in, to support brick and mortar. Right. And so we did 2 of those at the Poughkeepsie Galleria. We did one at the mall in Middletown, and we were supposed to about a month ago. Literally, what is today? The 28th, right? So literally, like a month ago today, we would have been doing our IncrediCon, PandoraCon, a 2-day show over at Thermont and Fitchville, but because of what happened, that went out. So
yeah,
that's
how taxing are these shows to put together, Mike? Are they? Is it something that how long do you plan these things out? Just walk us through the process, I guess.
So, I guess it depends on who you ask, me or Grazia. No.
Okay.
No, because I have it all in my head for when I put this stuff together. The first one I don't want to say I was concerned about, but it was definitely, it was my first time putting on a show. But again, we're talking about, at this point, it was 7-8 years of, going to shows and being a part of the behind. It's different when you go to a convention and you're behind the table as opposed to going to a convention as a fan. It's a whole different world. But just going to about 7 or 8 years worth of conventions and being on that opposite side of the table, getting to know different showrunners, getting to see different ways that different showrunners handle different things. Because I think it's a lot of relationship building, and also same thing with your vendors and your artists, even your celebrities, is building that strong relationship is important. Right. So for the first one, people were kind of like, oh, a mall show, because they used to do mall shows all the time. When I was a kid, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, those were the first conventions I went to. They did them in the mall here, and I buy comics and toys and stuff. I mean, that's when everybody was resell, everybody bought I'm just looking at some these green card Star Wars. Everybody was buying up hordes of these, figuring I'm gonna become a millionaire now because my kids are gonna go to college on these. Now they're $1. But people would buy them up from Toys R Us and sell them in the mall at these conventions and stuff. And so people were a little I want to say they were a little okay, this sounds interesting, because there's already, where we are up here, there's already another established show. But again, and I'm not trying to compete with them, but we're trying to be different from them.
Yeah, right.
But and I mean, again, the cool business guy that I am, I invited them to the table at our show and like, promote your show. I don't care, because we do IncrediKids at their show, so let's like all work hand in hand here, which is important.
Right.
Because there's all we know we're talking about Tiger King. I saw somebody post the other day on one of the con runner forums that I'm in. Somebody said that they should definitely do a reality show about like the behind the scenes of conventions, because you'll see a lot of that same kind of drama.
Absolutely. I mean, could you imagine putting a show like that and having cameras follow you around when you're trying to do all of this thing? It would be kind of interesting to watch.
I could, and I'm not going to, but I can name a couple of showrunners off the top of my head here who would probably be in some trouble if that happened.
Oh man!
Listen, I mean, but it's true. Like if you sit and you go on there, people are brutal up until like a month before our show that we canceled. Even going up when this whole Corona thing started, like I was getting mad. I hate to say, I was getting trolled by some people on there. Oh, what are you going to do about this? There's this other show that's going on, 3 hours away. Is it worth having your show? And it's just like, should you do a 2-day show? It's really a lot of stuff like that. And it's like that part of it, like you're asking about what the anxiety comes from, that part of it, right. I don't dig. Like, I don't like the whole backstabby thing. Like that, to me, that's not cool. But listen, I can rock with the best of them anyways, honestly, but I mean, like we did the first show at the mall, we saw how that ran. By the time we did our second show in Middletown, like that morning, I mean, Grazi was a little like flustered. He's like, oh my God, you don't have a map of where everybody's going. I said, but it's in my head, and I knew exactly, and it was fine. It was great, because I'm like a very tactile person, where Grazi wants it written down, which again, everybody has their different styles, and we ran. So like our mall events they run themselves at this point now, which is cool. Because we have a good relationship. And with the people that do this with us, like the mall is fantastic. The people at the Poughkeepsie Galleria, and the different comic shops that have worked with us on there. We have about three comic shops in the area who are like official sponsors, and I'll shout them out. We got Kerwin's Game Store from Catskill in there in the Poughkeepsie Galleria, Champion Card Collectors, and they're over in Poughkeepsie. Steve is the owner of that place, and Dave's the manager of Kerwin's, and then Alternaverse up in Hyde Park, who is run by Anthony Just, and 3 great guys, and they've been very supportive of all this. So like the mall shows run themselves, and so when I went to these guys and said, hey, let's do a 2-day show, they were like, okay. I mean, there's a little bit of like, okay, this, there's other shows going on too, but I mean, like, let's do it. And like, again, my main thing, and again, I can't speak in this regard to other showrunners, but do they listen to what their vendors and their artists say? I think there are some people that do, and then some people who are just like, oh, this is the way it's going to be, and so I think it's important to hear those voices, I think, because they're the ones that are supporting you and going to come back and give you money to do these things.
Right. You brought up something that was really interesting to me. You said about the haters, or those that are going to try to make things uncomfortable for you. How did that, going into this new arena, how did that mess with your psyche, and how did you overcome some of those challenges? Because I'm sure it created self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing with all this naysayers?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, but I was like, we're gonna do it, and my thing was like, to an extent, there was some self-doubt, but the other thing is, and this is what I said to even some of the folks who worked on this with me, because there was another show that about 3 hours away from us that same weekend. It was a 1-day show. We were a 2-day show, and they had a long-standing following. And some people are like, well, you don't want to have a bad relationship. I'm like, but they're 2 hours away, and this is what it is at this point. Like, I can't go back and change the date on these things, because it just is what it is. So I mean, we ran with it, and And then the other thing was too, like the other show that was in town, like again, I was communicating with these people. It's like, like come set up and promote your show. We'll do cross promotions and stuff like that. But in the back of my mind, like I know that the 2-day show, and let me just say the 2-day thing, I'm not sure if Grazia talked about it when he's here. I think it was before we were even planning this. We did it. There's a restaurant up in Beacon, New York called the Pandorica Restaurant, who's run by this wonderful woman, Shirley. And it's if you love Doctor Who, I mean, there's a whole bunch of Doctor Who people have passed through here. And she serves great food, and it's all Doctor Who inspired, and it's Doctor Who themed in there. I mean, they have like thousands of followers on social media. So we were doing IncrediCon / PandoraCon. So we were bringing in like the Doctor Who audience too. So we were trying something a little bit different. And I'm always about like reinventing like what's going to work for the fandom community. But like going back to your question is like, so if our IncrediCon / PandoraCon didn't, it was a trial thing, and if that ended up not being successful or not being as successful as I'd like it to be, like worst case scenarios, we go back to the mall. And we were never leaving the mall, first of all, but I was like, that I know is a proven thing. We've done very well with it. And we're very fortunate. I'm very humbled and lucky to have that relationship. So, where there was that bit of doubt, there was also like I had my safe spot too,
Right. So,
and then I was gonna say, I mean, in a way, the Corona thing, I think, helped us a little bit too, because, and I'll just say this for two things. The first thing is, and I think we were ready to go. We had the spaces sold and everything. Guests were ready. Tickets were being sold. We had an awesome radio. Like literally, the radio spot aired for like 2 days, and then we canceled. It was an amazing. Like Anthony from Alternaverse, he's like, "Was that you on the radio?" He's like, "That sounded so professional." I was like, "Yeah, that was me." He's like, "Shit, man." He's like, "I don't know what curse," but he's like, "Wow, that was And so we were doing like the really advertising blitz. I had like gone out and all in the area, was putting up all the signs and stuff, and literally like 2 days later the radio ad comes down, and I was going out in the rain the night I canceled, just picking up all the signs off of the highway. Wow. But the good things that came out, like again, there's positives that came out of the cancellation of that show is like we really tightened up our promotional gig. Like if, for instance, the IncrediChat now, because of this Corona thing, came as an extension of that. And the IncrediChat lives, and I'm sure you guys will put it up there, is on our website, which is www.IncrediConHV.com, which up until then, we were just working off of Facebook. And our IncrediCon PandoraCon, we got a website. So now we have an official website, and now we're throwing content onto it, which is awesome. So it gave us the chance to look at some areas that we were tight on. Now we can get even tighter on.
Right. So let me ask you this: with the shift of Comic Cons going into the virtual arena,
yes.
What are your thoughts on this? Have you considered this? Is this something that you guys feel that you're versed in? What are some of the challenges, if you have looked into it? What are the challenges that you see you guys facing up ahead with it?
Well, see, now that's a good question because I have mixed thoughts on it. I mean, nothing can replace going into a Comic-Con.
Absolutely.
There's nothing that can replace it, and I applaud all the virtual Comic-Cons going on, and we're certainly trying something. We're going to try something. Like I have plans to do like an Incredi week, which again we do like 2 or 3 Incredi chats a week. So what we're going to do, we'll do like 6 or 7 Incredi chats a week, right. And instead of do it all in a 1-day setting, do it over like, because I think some of these virtual cons where they're like literally doing something over the course of a day or over the course of a weekend, that's a lot of time. I'm not that we're all not sitting on our computers anyways. That's a lot of time for somebody to commit to being online. So I think chunking it out is a good idea, but I don't know. It's just it's weird. I was like Alex did his kids Comic-Con virtually online, and it was cool. But again, it's like you don't know how many people are coming on, and if you're bringing in guests and stuff, if you're pre-recording stuff, like you don't know if people are really watching that content. You don't know if people are really going on to, you know, like I use George for instance with your Super Duck, you know, like if you came on there, like are you really getting more traffic because you're part of IncrediCon online, you know, as opposed to you just going out there on social media and like blitzing the hell out of yourself, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
Too, Mike, I feel like when you're doing that virtually, you lose a little bit of control as an independent artist, because at a regular convention, you're bringing the people to your table. Like, come here, you know, I got something to tell you. But
yeah.
on a virtual, in a virtual world, how do you do that? You know, like that's where the disconnect, I guess, comes in.
Yeah, like, and I think a lot of it comes like, do you guys know Emilio Velez Jr., the dodgeball teens?
Yeah, dodgeball teens. Yeah, he does a lot of shows too.
And this is a huge shout out to Emilio. Like, I mean, he knows how to work social media. He is out there. He's plugging himself. And I know he's part of the virtual cons too, but he does a lot of the work himself. And, you know, again, like you're hoping that if you do this virtual con, that whoever's doing this virtual con is going to have enough hits or likes on their website or Facebook page or whatever means they're doing it. And that's going to drag people over to you. Like this is the other thing. I've been seeing some of these virtual cons, like they're having celebrity meet and greets and autograph sessions virtually. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like if I want to, like, and some of the bigger shows, like for instance, I'll just use example Wizard World. We all know Wizard World. Like they were doing like something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like you can, like for $150, you can like have an interaction and get an autograph from like James Marsters. And I'm like, but you know, I don't want to pay $150 to like look at him on a camera and say hey to him. Like I want to meet him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like that's the whole point of going to the convention, is to like the face-to-face thing. And I mean, obviously, again, for a while, that's probably not going to happen. Like, I mean, conventions as we know it. I mean, I work in the schools, and we're trying to figure out how school going to work come September. You know, and that's like, you know, in a given, where the school where I am, I mean, the school situation in New York City is a little bit different because there's different schools in different buildings. Like you may have 3 or 4 schools in a building, but you're talking about maybe a good 1,000 to 2,000 kids in the entire school building, you know. And we're trying to figure out, well, how is that going to work? I was talking with somebody. I'm on the school board in the area where I live up here in upstate New York, and we're just even talking about school buses. How's that going to work? You're going to have like 60 kids on the bus.
Right.
How are you going to social distance on the school bus? Yeah. You know? So these are the bigger questions. And again, if you follow these things online, people are asking about like, oh, there's some people who are like gung-ho. Listen, August, September, conventions are happening again. Like people are like believing it. There are shows who, again, I will remain nameless, and there's many of them. There are many nameless shows out there who have dates in August and September, and it's like, by golly, we're sticking to it. Like we're not even talking about postponement. We're not talking about canceling. You know.
Right. When I looked at, you know, because San Diego canceled, but New York Comic Con is still hanging in there.
Yeah, and I mean, and we'll talk about San Diego and New York Comic Con. San Diego's done. Listen, New York Comic Con is the Javits Center. It's a hospital now. There's no way. And
no way.
There's no way. The other day, he was on the news the other day saying like they're potentially talking about a second wave of this stuff happening.
The fall, yes.
He's saying, and I'll even throw out there the Westchester Community Center. He said those 2 places, they're on hold. He's not going to shut them down, because if indeed this happens again, what's going to be the point to shut them down now and then just have to redo it again? So like leave them. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I listen. I just want to go back to the goods and the bads of the COVID thing. Right. You know what? The way that I refunded very quickly my ticket holders and my vendors, like, and again, I already had a good relationship with my vendors and stuff. Like that solidified, you know, honesty and like quick turnaround to my vendors and supporters. But I'm talking I'm communicating with these vendors, and that's why I wanted to go back to the vendors anyways. But they're still telling me that New York Comic Con still taking applications for vendor spots.
Yes, they are.
Like, but and it's been radio silence. Radio silence.
Yes, because I received an email from them because I did submit my application a few months ago,
thing?
and I received an email from them saying we're still moving forward with it. Decisions will be made in the near future, but we're still moving forward. We just want to make sure you're still interested. That was it.
And because then, go ahead. What were you gonna say, George?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, because so I'm gonna throw this argument out there, and maybe we can go back to the virtual thing though too. So let's just hypothetically say New York Comic Con or any of let's just even say my IncrediCon. Let's say I postponed my IncrediCon that I was supposed to do in March to September. Right. Let's just say hypothetically IncrediCon can happen in September, and by all means we're not doing it in September, so right. I can promise you that's not happening. I'm just giving you for instance. But so people, there are a lot of people who don't have the extra money right now.
Right.
So who's going to pay? And again, I'm using the generic Comic-Con model. Who's going to pay $25 to get into a door? Right. Who's going to pay, $50 for their autograph with, Walking Dead star and another $50 to take a photograph with the guy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Do you know what I'm saying? And then still walk around and buy your Funko Pops, your comic books, your buttons, your T-shirts, and all that good stuff. People aren't going to have that kind of money.
Right. So here's where I'm just, and this is the only reason why I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because when I was looking at the news and when they reopened certain areas in Europe, Hermes had like one of the biggest selling days when people were able to leave their homes and go shopping. They did over $2 million. And so I think it's a twofold. You're going to have a group, a population that wants to get out and wants to feel normal again and wants to just go back to what it was. Yes. Then you're going to have the other population that's going to be, a penny wise, save, going to be, watching every dime that they spend, and they're not really going to want to go out there. So we don't know until we know. But I just thought it was fascinating that considering what they said about the fall and how complicated it's going to be, that there are still events still looking towards those dates.
Yeah, we're talking about just the people like the fan community going out,
right?
And there's gonna be certain fans that are gonna be like, oh, I'm gung ho, and there's gonna be other fans who are like, I'm not going anywhere until they create a vaccine, and that's gonna be true for anything, whether it be going to a Comic-Con, whether it be going to a baseball game, going to the movies, going to dinner, that's gonna be the. But then, let's put this to a whole other thing, and I'll mention one of our guests that we've had in IncrediCon. You know what? I promise you, Joe Sinnott will not be doing any more conventions.
Right.
Absolutely. Like, why would that man why would that man go out and put himself in, why would his family or him, God bless him, he's at least 95 years old, but it's not worth it for him to come out. And there's a lot of other artists, celebrities, who, why am I going to leave my house now because I am of a certain age range? I may have medical issues in X, Y, and Z. God forbid I go, because listen, if you've been to con, we all know about con crud, right?
Right.
And if you do enough of these, I promise you, I've come home the following week. I've been sick just because you're out. It's a lot of work, and then you're just around so many people. So there's going to be a lot of talent that's just not going to probably be able to or want to take the risk at this point either.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And again, the main question is, and again, we'll go back to let's talk Javits Center. New York City, there's 100,000 cases in New York City, right?
Sure.
And how many people does the Javits Center bring in?
About 130,000 or 100. It's insane.
Precisely. Do you think they're going? I mean, honestly, is that risk in October going to be worth it after coming out of something like this? And are they really going to say, "Oh no, we're only going to let like 10,000 people in"? Are they going to stand there and click 10,000 people in there? No way, because then it's not profitable. It's not profitable for all the people that put into it.
Right.
No, and honestly, it wouldn't be profitable for Reed either, because they'll be losing if they can't get 100,000 people into into the Javits Center, they're gonna lose money. Reed's gonna lose money. They're not gonna make, you know.
But I'm surprised that they're not going with the virtual aspect of it because Reed also runs Licensing Expo, and they moved it to June, and they're doing it virtually. It's a 5-day event where you're still going to be networking with all the industry professionals, and they're going to set up times for pitching to, you'll get pitch rooms and all this other stuff. I don't know how they're doing it. It sounds amazing, but they have the capital and the technology to be able to pull it off. I'm surprised because they do run licensing that they're not going to do the same thing with New York Comic Con, considering Wizard World's going that direction.
But you see, but again, like with something like with licensing, pitch rooms and things like that, like that's doable because I mean that's like all meetings and stuff. Like I think
it's more business, yeah.
Exactly. I think for like the con goer, who again the guy or the girl who wants to go there dressed up as their favorite character and spend $100, who wants to stand on that Funko line, and spend $200 to get every single rare pop that Funko has, like, and then just that experience and then walk around and meet, go see their favorite artist or go see their favorite celebrity, it's just not the same thing.
No, it isn't. And I said, George and I had that conversation early on where we were talking about how it'll hurt the small press community because if you're doing virtually, all of the attention is going to go towards the celebrity guests or the mainstream creators. So what kind of capital does the independent or small press need in order to get exposure virtually so that way someone's actually selecting them to go into their space because everyone else is going to have premium real estate online and there's only so much to go around. So how much of it is going to hurt the little guy?
Yeah. And I mean, and let's be real here too. And you guys have done enough of these shows as well. Like whether it be a celebrity like television movie guest or a celebrity artist, right? I mean, let's say, and I'll just use IncrediCon for example. So like I'm trying to think of like who would be a really cool guest that I would love to have an IncrediCon. Let me throw James Marsters out there. I mentioned him already. Like, and again, I love James Marsters. This is not a knock on James Marsters, but this is a real thing. So let's say I bring James Marsters to IncrediCon, right? And I do a virtual, and I get James Marsters to come and do virtual IncrediCon. And virtual IncrediCon, I'm going to do over Zoom, or like what we're doing right now. I'm going to do a Q&A with James Marsters. What is going to be different about my Q&A from James Marsters for the audience watching at home than going onto YouTube and just write Wizard World 2017 James Marsters Q&A, or Creation Con 2015 James Marsters Q&A? Most of these talents, the Q&As, the stories they tell, they're the same thing. The whole point of sitting in that Q&A in the audience is like, wow, you know what? 15 feet away is James Marsters. And you know what? After he's done doing his Q&A, I'm going to get online. I'm going to get my picture with him. That's the appeal of it. Right.
Absolutely.
Like it's cool to do the Q&A online. And listen, James Marsters wants to come and do IncrediChat. Please let him come. I welcome him. But you know what? I'm not gonna make money off of it. And you know what I'm saying? Because we may have a couple of interesting things to say, but it's stuff that we know already. And nobody's gonna see him afterwards to go get an autograph and shake his hand, give him a hug or a drawing or whatever they want to give him.
Right. It's a new arena that we're in. Hopefully it doesn't become a permanent reality, but it seems like it's our current reality. And,
well, I mean, I think there are going to be a lot of smaller and a lot of bigger shows which will just go away from this. I mean, and honestly, there's like I tell you, like the Tiger King world of the Comic-Con King. Like there is going to get cutthroat once the world gets started again. I promise you.
Oh yeah, you got to think about just San Diego itself, the city, how much money they've lost because the hotels, the restaurants, the cabs, the Ubers, the event itself, the amount of money that they lost from this, you can't recoup that
No.
because so it's I think everyone's grasping at straws for an alternative way of bringing in revenue. We don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know.
Which Comic Con is going to come out on top? What are the Comic Cons going to do to each other
Yeah.
to
Right.
I don't want to use the word sabotage, but to make sure that, hey, this is why people are
They
coming
come
to
on top. Yeah.
like, because my I don't want my show to go under.
Right.
And I mean, I think about that with IncrediCon. Again, like I said, I'm blessed for the connections that I've made, and like
Yeah.
listen, I joke all the time, like this is my little show in the mall, like I'm not at this point I'm not posing a threat. I don't think I am posing a threat to anybody. It's
Right.
just a cool
Yeah.
little thing that we do, but they're gonna get it's gonna get cut. It will get cutthroat out there, once this starts. And I don't think anybody and I, again, whether it be New York Comic Con or some of the other shows in September and August, like who really wants to be that first Comic Con out there in the starting line after this whole event too, because that's going to be a huge risk.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mike, so you being a promoter and somebody who has put conventions together, when do you see, for example, like when do you see your convention coming back? Do you see that happening next year, early, late next year, or are you kind of waiting to see what happens when we come out of this?
So I have a couple of thoughts on what I would like to do. Like
Yeah.
I have my perfect, and I've already talked. So I've put some things in place and in motion. So again, my show has been really built on relationships with people, and again, partnerships and things like that. I mean, and here we are joking about like Reed and all that stuff. Like my goal, my dream, I'm hoping like June, July, like they do start easing. And listen, I'm not saying I want to run like because again, like anything that's gonna, the way I look at it is like going into a venue like that is going to be like crazy.
Yeah.
My dream and my hope is that if they start opening the world up a little bit, and like one thing I've talked about with a couple of my vendors is like maybe doing an outdoor. I don't even want to call. I don't want to call it a flea market, but almost like a outdoor Comic Con, and primarily just for the vendors and the artists here in the area. I'm not bringing in any celebrities or any of the big guns. Like it's like like it's like a welcome back kind of thing. That's what I want. I want IncrediCon to be like kind of championing that and being like, what we have maybe like 15, 20 vendors and artists combined. Just come. We're not charging you money to come in. And if it's something I'm even able to do, for this first go around, if this is something if I can do this summer, and I would love to do it. Let's just do this for the community.
Right.
Just the cool thing. I mean, obviously, our next IncrediCon was supposed to be in October, November-ish. A lot of that, and that was supposed to be at the mall. A lot of that's going to be determined by if the mall is up and running, and again, just what the numbers situation is like. I mean, me personally, I think the odds of something like that happening before saying like what we were going to do in March at like a hotel or something, I could see like the mall thing being a reality before like a hotel thing becoming reality.
Right.
Like I can't not see like unless there's a second wave of this stuff. I can't see like for instance malls not being open by like October, November, especially because people are going to really hope for this holiday rush for the stores to recoup the money that they've lost.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean it's a wait and see. These are my hopes and I didn't think I didn't think this was going to go on as long as it did, honestly. So but we'll see what happens. it's definitely interesting. But I mean,
Yeah.
by IncrediCon, like I said, we're not to toot my horn, but I'm gonna toot my horn. Is like we're good. We are in a good place right now, and that's why
Good.
Grazi and we do the Incredit chats, because even though we're not doing a con, we're staying relevant. And I think by not doing, like we were talking about, this online con thing, I think that's also, we're not just jumping on the bandwagon with everybody else. We're doing our own little thing. We're talking about pop culture. We're talking about, because that's like with Grazi and not with me, I haven't had really any guest stars on. So like it's just been me, and like I said, I had Ray in last night. We were talking about all of his Bronx heroes and Punchline and Trumpland stuff. And again, you guys know Ray. Ray can go for hours.
Yeah.
But we're doing that, and I had some other friends of mine come on, and we're gonna do it again this week. Just talking about movies and like this week we're gonna talk about reboots, reboots and remakes, and it's just like cool stuff to talk about. And we're doing it for anybody who wants to come and join us. And then we have the celebrity guests, and cool, come join us for that too. Just getting stuff, content, and like people know the name, because there's other shows that are just like, hey, well, we don't have anything to do now.
Right.
Yeah. No, Mike, and thank you so much for having me on the Incredit chat. When you
It's
guys
fun.
did it, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And both of you should come on and just like have some fun with this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So, this has been a great conversation. Anything that you want the audience to take away from this as we wrap up? Any last minute things? Any websites you want them to visit?
Well, yeah, no, definitely. If you go onto Facebook, go on to IncrediCon. Just Google IncrediCon. Google Facebook, search IncrediCon, or come up. If you go onto Twitter, we have IncrediCon and Increditainment. We surprisingly never had an IncrediCon Twitter. So as I was reconfiguring all this stuff while Grazi was out ill, I was like, how do we not have an IncrediCon Twitter? So I just started that up. So that's up and running right now, which kind of ties everything that we're doing. And then we have www.IncrediConHV.com, and you can see all of our past interviews. George's interview is on there. Scott Shaw, Tim Clark, Marty Grabstein, the voice of Courage, he's on there. And we have some other ones that'll be coming up. Marty's going to be doing another thing with us, but we're going to be constantly uploading on that. We have some cool guests coming onto the Incredit chat in the next few weeks as well, because people are really giving on that. And then definitely go on to Indie Planet and that's it. Get Life's a Beach. Get Diana's book too. Diana's great. DianaLito.com. But go and get Life's a Beach and keep an eye out for that, because me and Gary are going to be continuing that, and keep being creative and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And then, like I said, both of you guys be a part. I want you guys to be a part of Incredible Week with us.
Absolutely.
Heck, right?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yes.
So.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. This has been a great episode, and
Excellent.
We look forward to what the future holds for everybody.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Thanks, Mike. Take care, bud.
So long.
All right, bye.
All right. So
That was a good one.
that was a good show.
Absolutely, dude. After all the headaches to get it going, but we finally figured it out, and that was great, man. Mike was very, very good.
Yeah, it was a little challenging to get these, figure out the right technology to get all the audio working. And we tried to get Mike and George on the same screen with House Party, but the audio was horrible. So I'm going to try Zoom and see if that solves the problem. So that way we can have multiple people on the screen, because everybody else is making it happen. I don't understand why the Craze is acting crazy.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Yeah, no, we'll definitely try that. But yeah, man, this is a great episode. I think that we got a lot of really good information.
Yes.
And it was a good conversation just to have about what's going to happen. What are we doing about conventions and what life is going to look like after this for the comic book industry.
Yeah, and that's the part that's really concerning, because nobody knows, what it looks like, what it's going to look like, and what the future holds. I mean, you can just hear even though that he's coming off confident, you can hear the reservation and the doubt.
Of course, yeah.
Come across his voice. So I can imagine what everybody else is thinking. Again, you had San Diego cancel, you had all these smaller shows cancel, and then you got the ones that are running and racing to get events going online. But will they be successful? And who benefits from it and who actually loses because of this virtual space?
Right. Yeah, I mean, he made some really good points as far as like, why do we go to conventions, right? Like, why do we bother to buy those tickets and show up at that door? And a lot of it is the experience.
Right.
To say I was in the same building that, a celebrity that I love was in, or I was, inches away from him, feet away from him or her. And I think that a lot of that, you lose a lot of that with these virtual cons, which, hey, listen, we got to do what we have to do. It's not, I'm not knocking the virtual con, but I just think that there's something about that live experience that, unfortunately for the next couple of months, for the next few months, maybe year, we're probably not going to be able to enjoy, and that's just real.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. I mean, the just the adjustment period that just from doing the show and all of the things that we have to adapt and adjust to, not being in the same space. Now using being reliant on different technology that's really not reliable because we tried FaceTime, it didn't work. We've tried Skype and we didn't get a good result out of it. We're trying House Party, we're not getting a good result of it. And each time, when you're trying to provide a professional looking show, it disrupts the flow.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's a small example of how something. Just a little bit the dramatic change that's happened and how much of it affects everything.
And we rely a lot of what we do on the show. We rely a lot of the fluidity of the show. We don't edit. You know what I mean? We don't chop things up and take things out unless they're requested by the guest.
Right.
Whatever. Or there's something like this that happens where there's like a technical difficulty where you just don't want to sit there and look at dead air. So we'll chop that up. But for the most part, we just kind of let it flow.
Right.
And with all of the stuff that's going on now, sometimes we can't just let it flow. Look at this show, for example. We're going to have to cut some of this stuff out, until he comes back and make it work. So, and that's on a podcast show. Could you imagine a convention that will house over 100,000 people like the New York Comic Con? That's insane.
Exactly. So, my hat's off to Wizard World and all these other events that are trying to adapt to this new reality of ours. But again, the concern is real for all of the little folk because there's no time to play small. Now you have to play big if you want to get noticed, and you have to work even harder. If this is what you want to do, this is the time. It's funny. When they said being on lockdown and being at home, several things are going to happen. Yeah, they're going to get divorced. I think homicides are going to get increase. Divorce rates are going to increase. You're going to realize, is this what I want to do? Is this relationship I want to be in? Same thing with this. Now that everything has been stripped from you, do you really want to continue in this game? Because now it requires more of your time.
Yeah. And you know what? In some cases, you are kind of like a lot of people have lost their jobs.
Yes.
So for some people, this is forced upon them. So like if you were a creative person and you lost your job, and like this is almost like the perfect time to say, okay, then let me just try this. Let me really go for this. So, and I like the fact that Mike was, he didn't look at it as, oh man, it was like a bad thing. He was like, a few good things came out of it, and he focused on the good things that came out of it. He didn't focus on the fact that he had to reimburse everybody, return money or whatever it was. He focused on the fact that, I was able to get a website out of it. I got IncrediChat out of it. We went online and started interviewing people online. So, let's see what happens. I mean, it's a rough time, but I think, we're going to be all right. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, he did the same thing that we were talking about earlier. He capitalized on an unfortunate opportunity to really strengthen his brand, right? And so same thing here, maximizing any opportunity, the Craze intent, really going back and working on the coding and really going out and hustling with the promotion and trying new things and ads and leads. This is a great time for you to explore, try things, see what sticks, what doesn't stick, learn, and just, grind out work, just keep on putting out work because it'll pay off in the long run. In the beginning, it's going to feel like work because I can tell you right now, I'm working till 1 a.m. every day and it feels like work. But I'm always pleased the next day when I wake up and I take a step back and I look at what I produced the night before. I'm like, all right, that was a productive day. Now, how can I repeat that same process today? You know what I mean? Absolutely, man. So it was a great show, even though it was frustrating today. It's a longer show. This show is about an hour and a half. But, for those of you who are listening, really good insight into somebody who puts on a small convention and the challenges that they're faced with and the courage and commitment that drives them to be better and better for the audience out there. And it's also a lesson on credibility and ethics. When you heard what he said about loyalty to the vendors and to the community that supports him, you know what I'm saying? So it's a great example of just ethics, and it just builds his credibility and then credibility. Who wouldn't want to support them? I know I would. I am Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
This is George, the Dreamer Medina. Oh, you put the song on.
I put the song on. Yeah, that's your thing, boy. And
that's your thing, boy.
Yes, and
anyway.
Thank you all for watching, and subscribe to our show, please. If you like this show, let us know. Subscribe to the show, and we'll see you again. It's not crazy. I'm so crazy. You so crazy. Acquiesce. No, it's about my friend acquiesce. Man, say my name, right? This is what you were thinking? Oh, you are listening. You described me? You said, I'm the...
You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.